Okay, so are you ready to dive into some of these questions from Chris Anderson's
Yeah, let's go for it.
questions no one knows the answers to? I have to say, you have excellent taste. These are the kinds of questions that, like, make you just rethink everything you thought you knew.
It really is fascinating how these seemingly simple questions can really unlock these entire realms of thought and discovery.
Right, and like one of the examples that I thought was so fascinating was the one, what does it feel like to be a dog? Anderson challenges us to like step outside of our human-centric perspective and like really consider the conscious experience of another species.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating about this question is that we often take our own way of experiencing the world for granted. We assume it's the only way. And, when you start to explore the possibility of these different forms of consciousness, like a dog's, it really forces us to question our assumptions about reality itself.
Yeah, okay, so how do we even begin to approach a question like that? I mean, we can't just ask a dog how it feels.
Well, of course, we can't directly access a dog's subjective experience, but we can look at things like, animal behavior, brain structure, and even evolutionary history for clues.
Okay.
For example, there's research that suggests that dogs can dream,
Oh,
which implies a pretty complex level of mental activity.
that's incredible. It makes me wonder, like, what are they dreaming about? Like fetch, squirrels, belly rubs.
Exactly. It opens up this whole world of possibilities, and that's what makes these unanswerable questions so powerful. They spark our curiosity and lead us down these paths we might never have considered otherwise.
So it's not about finding the definitive answer, it's about the exploration itself.
Precisely. It's about expanding our understanding of the world and acknowledging that there's so much that we just don't know.
And that can be applied to so many areas, not just animal cognition. Anderson also asked some like pretty mind-boggling questions about the universe, like, was the Big Bang just an accident?
Ah, yes, the Big Bang. That question takes us right to the edge of our understanding of, the cosmos. Imagine trying to wrap your head around the sheer scale and power of an event that created everything we know.
Yeah. It's hard to even comprehend. Like, I remember reading that the universe is constantly expanding, which is already like a pretty crazy concept.
Yeah.
But the idea that it all started from like a single point is just whoa.
And that's where things get really interesting because we can trace the expansion of the universe back to that initial singularity, but
Mhm.
the cause of the Big Bang itself remains a mystery.
Okay.
I mean, there are theories, of course, like the idea of cosmic inflation, which suggests that there was this rapid expansion in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, but we're still searching for that ultimate why.
It makes you feel pretty small, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about the vastness of the universe and all the things we don't understand.
It's definitely a humbling experience for sure, but I think it's also incredibly inspiring. It reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to discover, more to wonder about.
Anderson also digs into some pretty intense ethical questions too, like, do fish feel pain? That one always gets me thinking.
Yeah, that's a question with profound implications. If we acknowledge that fish can experience pain, it really challenges our entire relationship with them.
Yeah, I mean, we eat fish, we keep them as pets, we even use them in research if they can feel pain. Like, doesn't that change everything?
It certainly raises some really difficult ethical considerations. It forces us to examine our actions and, consider whether we are treating these creatures with the respect that they deserve.
So how do we even approach a question like that scientifically? Like, can you measure a fish's pain?
It's a very complex issue, and there's a lot of debate going on in the scientific community right now. Some researchers point to the fact that fish have similar nervous systems to mammals, and they exhibit behaviors that suggest they are experiencing pain.
Mm.
Others argue that, we just can't definitively prove subjective experience in any creature, including humans, let alone fish.
So it's a question that might never have a clear-cut answer.
It very well might be one of those enduring mysteries that continues to challenge us, But even without that definitive answer, I think the process of exploring this question can lead us to a deeper understanding of animal sentience and, our own ethical responsibilities.
It really highlights how these unanswered questions aren't just these abstract thought experiments. Like, they can have real-world consequences, and they can, like, force us to confront some tough choices. It's almost like they're pushing us to evolve, both intellectually and ethically.
Absolutely. It's like these questions are holding up a mirror to humanity, forcing us to examine our own beliefs and values.
And that can be uncomfortable, can't it? It's easier to just stick with what we and know what we're comfortable with.
It's definitely tempting to shy away from uncertainty, but I think embracing the unknown, being willing to question what we think we know, that's where true growth happens.
So how do we get better at embracing that discomfort? Because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, including myself.
It's a practice like anything else. Start by recognizing that it's okay not to have all the answers. In fact, the most interesting questions are often the ones we can't easily answer.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we already knew all the answers, life would be pretty boring, wouldn't it?
Exactly. It's the mystery, the pursuit of understanding that keeps us engaged and curious. And that curiosity can lead us to, amazing discoveries, both about the world and about ourselves.
And I think that's what I find so inspiring about Anderson's message. He's not just saying, hey, here are some cool questions. He's encouraging us to make questioning a part of our daily lives.
Yeah, it's about cultivating a mindset of continuous learning and exploration. Think of it as a mental workout, constantly stretching and strengthening those curiosity muscles.
So how can we do that? What are some practical ways to become more curious?
Well, for one, resist the urge to jump to conclusions. When you encounter something new or unfamiliar, take a moment to pause and observe.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what do I notice? What questions does this raise for me?
It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot instead of just going through the motions. We're like actively engaging with the world around us.
Exactly. Another helpful practice is to seek out diverse perspectives.
Okay.
Talk to people who have different backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences than your own. You might be surprised by what you learn and how it challenges your own assumptions.
Yeah. It's easy to get stuck in our own little bubbles, isn't it? Surrounding ourselves with people who think and believe the same things, but that doesn't really help us grow.
No, it doesn't. True growth comes from encountering ideas that challenge our comfort zones, that make us rethink what we thought we knew.
And, Anderson talks about how some of the biggest breakthroughs in history have come from people who dared to ask questions that others thought were impossible or even foolish.
Yeah, think about Galileo challenging the geocentric view of the universe, or Einstein revolutionizing our understanding of gravity. These were individuals who weren't afraid to question the status quo, to explore new ways of thinking.
And their curiosity ultimately led to profound shifts in our understanding of the world. It makes you wonder what groundbreaking discoveries are still waiting to be made just because someone hasn't asked the right question yet.
That's the beauty of it. The potential for discovery is limitless as long as we remain curious and open to new possibilities.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of questions and how to cultivate curiosity, but Anderson goes even further, doesn't he? He encourages us to embrace the unknown, to find beauty in the things we don't yet understand.
Yeah, that's a powerful perspective shift. Instead of viewing unanswered questions as roadblocks or sources of frustration, we can see them as invitations to adventure.
It's like instead of being afraid of getting lost,
Mm-hmm.
we're excited to see where the path might lead us.
Exactly. And who knows what wonders we might encounter along the way. Unexpected connections, breathtaking insights, a deeper appreciation for the complexity and beauty of the universe.
And even if we don't find all the answers, the journey itself is valuable, isn't it?
Absolutely. The process of exploring, questioning, and seeking understanding can be incredibly rewarding in its own right. It can lead to greater self-awareness, intellectual humility, and a deeper connection to the world around us.
It's like the pursuit of knowledge becomes a journey of self-discovery as well.
Exactly. And that journey can continue throughout our lives, leading us down ever-expanding paths of inquiry and wonder.
I love that it's almost like Anderson is giving us permission to be lifelong learners, to never stop asking questions, to always be open to new discoveries.
And that, I think, is a beautiful way to approach life, to cultivate that sense of wonder, that thirst for knowledge, that joy in the pursuit of understanding.
As we're talking about all this, I keep thinking back to that question about consciousness that we touched on earlier. It's such a fundamental question, yet it's still so mysterious.
It really is one of the great enigmas of our existence.
Yeah.
What is it about our brains, about the organization of matter, that gives rise to subjective experience, to awareness, to the feeling of I?
Yeah, it's like we can study the physical structures of the brain, but how do you measure a thought, a feeling, a sense of self?
That's the challenge. We've made incredible progress in understanding the neural correlates of consciousness, but that subjective, qualitative aspect of experience remains elusive.
And yet we all experience it, don't we? Every moment of our waking lives, we're immersed in this sea of consciousness. We're thinking, feeling, perceiving, experiencing the world around us.
It's the most fundamental aspect of our being, and yet it's one of the least understood.
So how do we even begin to wrap our minds around something so profound and mysterious? Is it even possible to study consciousness scientifically?
It's certainly a challenging endeavor, but there are researchers who are dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of consciousness. They're using a variety of approaches, from neuroimaging to computational modeling to philosophical inquiry.
Okay, sounds like it's a field that requires collaboration across different disciplines.
Absolutely. Understanding consciousness requires insights from neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, computer science, and even physics. It's a truly interdisciplinary pursuit.
It's almost like consciousness itself is a bridge between different realms of knowledge. It connects the physical world of the brain to the subjective world of experience.
That's a beautiful way to put it, and it highlights the importance of embracing multiple perspectives in our quest to understand this complex phenomenon.
So even if we don't find all the answers, the very act of exploring these questions, of bringing together different ways of knowing, can lead us to a richer and more nuanced understanding of what it means to be conscious.
Precisely, and that, I believe, is a worthy pursuit in and of itself.
Yeah, it's like planting a seed of curiosity and like watching it grow in these unexpected ways.
I love that analogy. And just like a seed needs, the right conditions to flourish, so too does our curiosity.
Okay, so what are some of those conditions that can help us like nurture our curiosity?
Well, I think one important factor is, creating space for contemplation in our busy lives. It's
Yeah.
so easy to get caught up in that constant stream of information and distractions.
Yeah, it's like we're always on, always connected, always multitasking.
Exactly. And that can make it really difficult to, really delve into those deeper questions, those thoughts that require time and space to unfold.
So we need to create those pockets of quiet, those moments where we can disconnect from the noise and just be with our thoughts.
Precisely, whether it's, taking a walk in nature, meditating, journaling, or simply sitting in silence for a few minutes, those moments of stillness can be incredibly fertile ground for curiosity to like take root.
It's like giving our minds permission to wander, to make connections, to explore those uncharted territories of thought.
And that's where the magic happens when we're not trying to force an answer, when we're simply allowing ourselves to be curious. That's when those unexpected insights and breakthroughs often emerge.
Yeah, I think Anderson would agree with that. He seems to be all about embracing that sense of wonder and awe, like willingness to be surprised by what we discover.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful message to leave our listeners with today.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Chris Anderson's questions no one knows the answers to, I hope you're feeling inspired to embrace your own curiosity, to ask those big, bold questions, and to never stop exploring the mysteries of the universe.
And remember, the journey itself is the reward. The more we learn, the more we realize how much there is still to discover. So keep asking, keep seeking, keep wondering. The world is full of amazing things just waiting to be uncovered.